Welcome, everyone. Dr. Thor here. Get ready for Gnosis. Well, let's talk about the radionic history as well, and people out there that claim so much, claim they know everything, claim they have these great technologies, yet when it comes to them personally, they fail. They fail to an extent that people within their families die. Now, I talked about this with Ludi Larson, how her daughter apparently died of cancer while she is the number one person in the world, or I should say number two. Number one goofball monkey, of course, is the inventor of the SE5, Donnie Paris boy and his Illuminati connections, and of course, Ludi Larson. And so the whole idea is they've been working hand in hand, corruption together, creating false realities, leading people into buying super expensive machines on the illusion that they are going to cure themselves of diseases when they're just a box of crap. And that's what the SE5 is. There's nothing in there, and all radionic instruments are pretty simple. But considering what the claims this person makes, either direct or indirect, it's appalling. Now, the other things that have always had a great, people thought there was a great, because of the history of Galen, was it Thomas Galen Hieronymus, or was it Galen Thomas? Who knows? But Hieronymus, of course, was an interesting dude and did live a long time. But I'm not sure that means it's from, is it from the technology or in spite of the technology? I tend to think that people genetically have problems of how long they live. So if your family tends to be long lifers, living longer, you probably have a good chance. So I don't know what that was with Hieronymus, but I think Hieronymus lived to be 90. And of course, was pretty active for a long period of time, moved from different areas. He also had the cosmic pipe, which was a kind of orgone accumulator that further proves the accumulation is very toxic. They had these pipes, you put them in the ground to stimulate the growing of things, and they attracted huge amounts of radioactivity. So, and of course, that's what happens. And the same thing happens with any accumulation device of any type, particularly traditionally good orgone. It can't really accumulate from the atmosphere any longer because our atmosphere is highly radiative. And of course, this has been for a long time. It's horribly polluted. But Hieronymus claims to have done so many things, and there's all sorts of gossip and things they did and what happened with Hieronymus machines, etc. And of course, none of this can be verified good or bad. It's basically nothing has been researched properly, and none of these inventors have spent the time and the energy to document what they're doing and to test different tools and record it. Basically, they do their own thing to pretty much further their research, I would think, mostly. They try and sell different tools and instruments, etc., and also to show that they have something. I don't know if any of these people have made much money from it or not. I don't know what Hieronymus did. He was an electrical engineer. He worked for big corporations. I doubt if he was making much money off of selling his tools, which nobody really took in much interest. And of course, when these things came out in their particular time, I'm not sure there was a lot of people buying this stuff anyway. In this day and age with the internet and the 8 billion people on planet Earth, there is some interest in radionics from many different areas, and the radionic industry has been entirely taken over by Satanists who run it all. And then you have the weasels out there that are indirectly working with them or ignoring the situation. So, what happened is that with Hieronymus, and I knew a guy who worked with Hieronymus as well. He went down there and studied with him for a while, and I met him and we talked about it. And he gave me a bunch of information there, including the fact that he thought, of course, you assume these people are credible, but I don't believe I don't believe anything until it happens to me personally. I hear so much, and I'm very open-minded, and I say, hey, great, I want to try that. I want to have a healthier body. I want to be able to do all these things. Doesn't work. I just covered supplements, which are basically just poo. You might as well buy those $50 bottles of supplement and just put them directly in your toilet, because that's where they're going. You're not absorbing any of dried or capsule type herbs to any great extent. You may be getting a small amount of it, but the key word there is small amount of it for a very high price. You got to know how to take them. You got to know how to make them. You got to have everything made to liquid if you're going to get any effects of these to any great extent. So we all have to fully understand that, and we have to understand the reality that that goes with it. So looking at the whole round, so I was told that the actual prison that was put in there was just a little gimmick that Hieronymus put in there for the patent, and that it really didn't do anything. Now, I don't know. It's alloptic energy. He's got his own philosophy of things. He's got his own way of thinking. It's very interesting. There's a lot on him. Is there any value there? Well, we just don't know. Hieronymus machines are pretty simple. He had good machines that, when he amplified them properly with tubes, worked really well. When he moved away from tubes, they had worse things. But generally, Hieronymus machine is just two tuners from 0 to 100. These are tunable capacitors, usually 3 to 4 inches long. They're very big. These are the old type, which are very difficult to get now. And that's pretty much what was in his units, and that's what you tuned. And there, I'm not going to go into the whole Hieronymus thing here. You can probably find stuff online if you're interested in that. But from there, once Hieronymus passed away, there was some activity. His wife tried to do things, who really couldn't keep up with the business, and of course knew absolutely nothing about it. Like most wives, they like cashing the checks, but they really don't know anything, and she didn't do anything. It's certainly an interesting technology that a lot of people are trying to grab onto as the premier radionic instrument. There are people doing that today, and one guy who's even using it medically, that people pay him monthly to be treated in this type of machine, which is basically Hieronymus machine. And he's putting in counter energies, or reverse rates as they're known, into the machine to supposedly cure everybody. But don't ask for a refund, because he's so successful that he does what he can. It works, it don't work. He's smarter than the average bear. So the whole idea is that this is what he does. I don't know what his credibility is, but it's amazing how people are out there doing medical work with these machines, and there seems to be no problems. So the whole idea is that, so a lot of people have worked with Hieronymus, and one of his buddies was a guy named Peter Kelly. Now, I'm not sure how they worked together or not. It's hard to get historical data on this. And it would certainly be nice to put together a book on this. And if somebody wants to finance that, so I have time to do it, I'd be more than happy. But, what's the real history of Ruth Drown, Delaware, Hieronymus? Who are these guys? What did they have, and how can we document these things for prosperity? So Hieronymus machines are pretty simple, pretty easy to put together. Many people have been making them. There's crap built by some psycho goofball nutjob Christian guy who you should stay far away from. He's a really evil scumbucket who makes these machines on and off and sells them on eBay. The people who are producing Hieronymus machines today, and have been for many years, is the Kelly organization, which Peter Kelly, as he said, I think served under is the correct term, worked with Hieronymus before he died. Peter Kelly has passed away a few years ago. I can't find an exact age at this particular time. I'm trying to find that, but the bottom line, he wasn't all that old. I think he was in his 70s, maybe. I'm not sure. If somebody can give me that information, I would be happy to know it. There's another guy, again, I don't remember his name, but he used to go around the world preaching radionics and balancing crops and everything else, who died in his 60s as well. Kelly may have died in his late 60s. But which further proves the fact that there's a problem there. You can't analyze, you can't use the machine right, and or the machine is completely ineffective. We don't know. As long as these things are kind of secretive, semi-outlaw devices, you have a problem. And this goes to every single use of radionics to a degree, and most people that have money or anything else are not interested in doing it, and seem to be frightened no matter where they are. So we have real problems knowing what is valid and what's not valid. I hope to correct this in the coming years to find out what is the validity of all these things. How well do they work? There are practitioners, particularly out of England, that do this kind of work all the time. Do they work? How good are they? How are they able to affect things? So, we're going to get to the bottom of this. And of course, this takes support and money. I want to pay a bunch of practitioners who do this for a living to work on people and see if they get results, and we will report that. But we need your support. Make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you go to Patreon and join there. You can see the inside guts of all these machines. We recommend you going over to All Access membership of the website and putting your money there. We have an entire Institute of Radionics which teaches you how to build the old style radionic machines. New information will be released there in time, but a lot of this is basically technology that Radionic Tech has developed over 50 years and a huge expense of money. So supporting stuff like this is very important. So moving on, let's all talk about the fact of Peter Kelly. Now, I didn't have a Peter Kelly machine at that time. They've always been a little bit expensive, but really not that. I mean, if you're not spending $1,200 to $1,800 for a radionic machine, you're doing a disfavor to yourself and the industry. But there are less expensive. I put out very good basic instruments for like $700. So there's no excuse for anybody not to have one of these systems. Those are the tuning systems. We even have units as low as $150, which are the double symbolic machines. You have symbolic boxes, you have symbolic plates underneath, and these have been shown to be very effective, and they certainly are effectively low priced at $150. You can't beat that to kind of get into it and think about it and work with basic manifesting energies. And of course, they all use very special radionic technologies. These are not just little pictures. But let's get back to the big shot, big mouths, and everybody thinks that they're so wonderful, and that's Peter Kelly. Now, in the 1990s, I did not have his instrument, as I mentioned, but I did subscribe to his newsletter. $40, $50 a year. I don't know if it was bi-monthly or whatever. I don't really remember. I used to keep those. Unfortunately, I've lost a lot of this stuff through harassment that I was unable to keep a lot of records. But the bottom line is these actual newsletters that he used to publish would talk about a myriad of things. I don't remember what they were on. I didn't find them very informative or interesting, but that's only my immediate recall. But he used to put out, and I don't think they were very long, 5-10 pages. Typical newsletter that helps organizations generate some money, but usually are really poor because nobody has time to write these things. So the whole idea is that I was getting these for I think I subscribed to him for 2-3 years. And then all of a sudden I get this newsletter. And what is in the newsletter is the fact that Peter Kelly is asking for donations of money because his wife has breast cancer and he needs to take her to proper medical allopathic treatments. What? What was that, though? What? Did I hear you right? The Great Hieronymus machine? Oh, that's impossible. Did you misread it? Well, dumb guy, the bottom line is that's just not true. So I wish I had this, but, this was probably 20 years ago, and it was so profound to me that I remember it like it was yesterday. And the fact is, he's begging for money. Of course, he runs a business as well. We're supposed to pay for somebody else's medical insurance while he charges you money. And I also knew a person who went to him all the time for metaphysical radionics and paid him thousands of dollars and got nothing in success levels. It was more metaphysical stuff. She needed protection. She needed this and that. And she was a wealthy woman and paid him thousands of dollars and nothing came of it. Nothing. Never, ever. So that's an instance, but those are hard to judge. People are kind of goofy. They have metaphysical problems, which are mostly their fault. You're fighting against big things. So metaphysics is fascinating and very difficult to judge how effective it is, even though I've done it in my life all the time, generating money for my particular business, doubling and tripling the income, protecting, doing a lot of amazing metaphysical type things. All of this stuff, but how do you prove any of that? It's very grayish and very un-black and white. When it goes to something else, whether someone has pimples and you get rid of them, well, it's not black and white. It happened. So, People always like to say, it's a coincidence. I took a vitamin A tablet and now I don't have acne. It's coincidence. They never want to give anybody credit. Yeah, it just happened to happen when all the other things were going on. But the bottom line is that here is Peter Kelly, the great student of Hieronymus, the great machine that can do anything, who's begging for money to take his wife, who is dying of cancer, and I don't know if she died or not. The follow-up of these things are always difficult. Collecting money so that he can bring somebody to get, chemotherapy. So, and the amount of money he charged for everything and the clientele he had, I don't know why he needed money, but people like to get money when they don't need it because they feel that, this is part of society's duty to assist them. And they should live high on the hog and get extra money because, you want to help me, don't you? It's the good Christian thing to do. Good Christian thing to do is take your money, but that's another issue. So the whole idea is that this is what the Hieronymus machine has done. There's absolutely zero information coming from them of any kind of proof of anything they've ever done. Of course, they like to get into agriculture and everything else. But the bottom line is that the proof is in the pudding. Here we have another person who takes a dirt nap based on technology that is assumed to be so powerful that could not handle this situation. Now, to be 100% fair, of course, these are very difficult things to do and treat, but that's what they're into. That's what he spent all his life doing. He did it as a full-time job. To go ahead and then go out and to give up on it and want to take somebody to go to allopathic treatments and get the usual burn and cut methods that allopathic medicine is so famous for is an insult to the entire community and the entire technology there. And one of the problems is this is something that it continues to be looked at in a serious matter of having some sort of value, which is Hieronymus machines. Now, I recently acquired an original Hieronymus machine that I'm going to copy and see how well it works. Now, these are all pretty fascinating, very interesting, and as I said, they're really not all that complicated. But, when you make simple machines, don't underestimate the importance of making them right, using the right solder, making sure the connections are good, using the right potentiometers or parts, putting it in the right box, and amplifying it properly. This is never done by anybody but me. So it's important that everyone understands that. So if you're a person who wants to invest in one of these machines, the history of it is pretty poor. And I would ask his son, who now runs this after daddy has died, again, a person who died at a young age or younger age, what happened? So the whole idea is that it either works or it doesn't. And if you've got something that is extremely potent, that people give so much credit to, and people give a lot of credit to Hieronymus because he basically was an electrical engineer, but he didn't really understand the energy anyway. He called it alloptic energy. As far as I'm concerned, I've read his stuff, and basically there's several articles and interviews from him. I don't necessarily think he's on the right track, and I'm not sure he did much of anything. The gossip about spaceships, I don't really care about that stuff. It's ridiculous. All these things are 100% unverifiable. They're kind of comic book stories. Where is your data? Where's your data on crops? Where's your data on people? None of it is there at all. We run into problems yet again. So as far as I'm concerned, there's absolutely no proof to that, as there's no proof to any radionics doing much of anything until we have much more verifications. Certainly is a fascinating technology, and we do have verification of direct intentions that are amplified in some manner that produce amazing effects, from cures of cancer to other things. The famous William Bankston has been doing research with concentrated matter from you just thinking about somebody being well and then becoming well with mice and people that apparently, and I don't know the full facts of it, are amazing, which he's been able to do. The problem is, the minute this moves over to some sort of substance or technology, it fails horribly. William Bankston put out energy waters that are totally worthless. They do absolutely nothing. We've tested them. We've had other people use them. 5, 6 people have used these with no results whatsoever. But apparently when you concentrate on someone, and just the fact of concentrating and directing your energy to a particular target for a particular reason is surprisingly powerful. But it's also surprisingly weak. So if you're not amplifying and broadcasting in some manner using certain technologies that have been converted over, then you have a serious problem. So it doesn't work very well consistently. But that's not what he says. And he got people from all walks of life, people who didn't believe in it, people who think it's stupid. And they were able to just get results by implanting in their mind that this person needs to be healed. And that's it. He does also have what's considered a speed visualization technique, which is essential part of his program, which may be what actually makes everything work. Speed visualization. So instead of the classic visualization where you're holding a thought in your mind very clearly with every detail, you do this once and then you flick through 20, 30 different images because your mind is projecting so quickly and so fast, and it is going to the target. Now, I do agree with that because you don't need to focus on anything. The energy is sent there instantly. What you have to do is repeat, repeat. But here we go is a guy who claims to have done this with no technology whatsoever, and has years and years of verified research in this area. So people should check that out. He's written the book, The Energy Cure, William Bengston. Anybody who can get further information there and really have proof laid out. You can sign up. He has a website, all the stuff, get information on him, all of the things that go with that, whatever that means. Now, again, I don't know any of this to be a fact unless I research and see it for myself. I don't believe anything told to me because the bottom line is everybody is delusional. They want this to work, and somehow it works for them. Somehow when I test it or send somebody there to test it or test it on someone else, it never ever seems to work. So we do have to understand that. So the reality of it all is that this didn't work, just like the SE5 didn't work by one of the most well-known people using that technology. It failed. That person is in a box in that ground. And the same thing happened with Peter Kelly. I don't know if his wife died or not, but I'm assuming it did. We certainly know that he died fairly young as well. So if we are to guess that this technology has some effect on the bioenergetic body, well, I can tell you it doesn't. Does it have effect on it? Does the SE5? No, it doesn't. It's not working. People are dying who shouldn't. There are people that go through chemotherapy and use allopathic medicines and have survived cancer for 20 and 30 years. Some people that apparently are in permanent remission. Other ones, of course, are not. So we never really know what that demonic energy, that cancer is. But the bottom line is that there's far from this technology has any credibility whatsoever, just like all the other technologies that have not been verified until we have some provable information to do that. And that's not somebody saying, well, I got cured by this. We have to go past that. What do you mean you got cured? What is the statistical data on it? Can we confirm this through medical data? People make all sorts of claims, and every time I check everybody out, they all fail. It's just horrible. And of course, here's another life and death situation by the masters, the practitioners, the people that are selling this stuff and making direct and indirect claims. It didn't work in their own family. Then will it work for you? Well, I wouldn't bet on it, and I wouldn't pay the kind of huge prices that these people want for their technologies that are at the very least completely shot in the dark, unprovable. They're virtually down to the fact of being experimental toys because they have nothing else to go with it but a big bunch of books of numbers that do what? Well, let's see it. Let's see the work of it. And we will never know that until we actually get much better proof and that all of these things were released better. So here's yet another one. I hope everybody understands that. I hope this has been very informative, and I hope you're pulling the illusions, the lies, the cheats that are out there that are promising you so much wonderful blue sky, and there's nothing to grab there. Yeah, it really is blue sky. And have you ever tried to grab the sky? Have you ever tried to make the sky and bring it into your life? Well, it ain't possible. Until next time.